What is going on, Diablo fans? Dbrunski here, and I recently received a DM from Coooley on Discord, and it wasn't a death threat for advocating to buff the PVM Bone Necro, it wasn't shitting on me for trying to justify the recent Boson buffs, and it wasn't an attack for trying to get across the point that restricted trading in Diablo 4 shouldn't be a deal breaker for those that want to purchase the game. It was actually an invite to react to his recent rumor video to try and hopefully stimulate some interesting discussion between different community content creators just for changes heading into patch 2.6. Now, I agreed to make this video for two reasons. One is that I genuinely believe it's a good thing to have different viewpoints and opinions when you're trying to suggest changes to iterations of a game, like an ARPG like Diablo 2. I have had disagreements with Mr. Law MSC over the Holy Fire Paladin. I've had disagreements with Coooley over the Boson buffs. Just having different viewpoints, I think, is just better overall for sort of like the end result that changes that devs make, if that makes sense. And the second reason is that honestly, with almost 800 Diablo 2 videos, I am starting to run out of original ideas for video production. So I said, screw it. Let's react to Coooley's video on potential new rune words and provide some hopefully stimulating feedback and discussion. Let's jump in. So I should point out that during the recording of this video, PezRadar put out a blog post stating that we should be expecting around mid-February for Season 3 of D2R. So that means it's highly likely, like 99% probability, that if patch 2.6 is receiving any new rune words, they've already been theory crafted, implemented into the code, and then that code has been submitted to Sony, Nintendo, and Xbox for, or I should say Microsoft, for approval for the next patch. There's this process where they can't just make a change and then instantly port it over to the Switch. That has to be improved by Nintendo, etc. So the idea behind this video for me is to really just address some of the gaps that Coooley is trying to address with these rune word suggestions and then go from there. So the first rune word suggestion is Madness, Soul and Ith that grants 1 to 3 of a specific class tree, 20% faster unlock, damage reduced by 7, and 50% damage taken goes to mana. I really like this rune word because it's 2 open sockets, so it can be rolled in Necroheads, which is currently a gap in rune words in my opinion, Sorceress Wands, Helmets, etc. And I do like the idea for a playthrough. You kind of have to decide, soul runes are pretty important. Would you want to make your first Insight, your first Lore Helmet, or would you want to make this new rune word Madness? And I do like the idea or concept of sort of shifting away the potential choice of using the rune word Spirit. Most likely, Spirit is going to be used in conjunction with this rune word. I don't think a lot of people would prefer to use Madness in a Sorceress Orb over Spirit and Crystal Sword. I mean, I could be wrong, but I do like the idea and concept of just providing different opportunities or different rune word choices during a playthrough. The only suggestion that I would potentially make to this rune word, adding maybe like negative 25% defense, so it could be used as a shield for a melee character on a playthrough, because I genuinely believe melee really struggles on playthroughs just dealing with attack rating and there's missed hits, and I feel like it's a slight missed opportunity here, just adding a little bit more of flavor for a melee character on a playthrough, just because casters, everything is just so heavily weighted for a caster in a playthrough in my opinion. But overall, I think it's a fantastic rune word, and it receives the DB seal of approval. Next rune word on the list is Fortune's Favor, and this is a fantastic rune word, and I would change absolutely nothing about it. I think it does an excellent job of addressing some of the shortcomings that melee characters really suffer through on playthroughs, being faster unlock, attack rating based on character level, mana stolen per hit, cannot be frozen, all very desirable attributes that you can easily roll on a playthrough. That's one of the biggest criticisms that I personally had for the rune word Unbending Will. It was a very cheap rune word, lots of damage, attack rating, just very valuable stats for a melee character, but it required a 6 open socket base, which is extremely difficult to find during a playthrough. Basically, by the time you've found that 6 open socket base, you probably are already using something else on a melee character anyway, so it was in a really weird spot. But this is a perfect rune word. I give it 10 out of 10. I think it's the best rune word on this list, and yeah, it receives the DB seal of approval. The next rune word is Mystery, and this, in my opinion, is the worst design rune word that I have ever seen. I can't believe anybody would actually think this is a good idea. I'm actually just kidding. This is another, in my opinion, fantastic addition. Coooley and his Discord community members actually thought of a lot of really interesting changes. I like the shift of Enigma into a helmet, but it has been modified so you don't get the plus skills. They've reduced the total attributes. You don't get the insane strength based on character level, and it would actually require you to make some, difficult decisions. Like, do you want to use Shaco on a Wind Druid for magic finding, or do you use Mystery Helmet? Or would you want to use Fortitude for body armor on a Barbarian and use Mystery in a helmet, but then you're sacrificing G-Face, like Crushing Blow and Deadly Strike? So there's trade-offs. It's not just a different way of achieving teleport on a character. So I actually think this is a fantastic addition. I don't think I would really tweak anything, to be honest, because it's balanced very well, because like a Windred, for example, would probably prefer to use a 5 NATO over this helmet and use the standard Enigma body plate. But then again, you have the option of like using Fortitude and Enigma at the same time on a Barb, which is interesting. Again, at the sacrifice of potentially using G-Face. Although I'm not necessarily against potentially changing the runes that are used. Like I would maybe, instead of it being Jaw, Ith, and Burr, since it is different stats, maybe using like Sir, Cham, and I don't know, Sir, Cham, Sir, or Sir, Cham, and something else. Burr, Low, Jaw are already super valuable. Nobody cares about Sir and Cham really. The devs tried to address this with Mist and Plague, but definitely I think it's a fantastic idea. But I absolutely would switch the runes that are used, with trying to emphasize more value on Sir and Cham specifically. But again, another great, well thought out rumored, and it receives the DB seal of approval. So moving on to some more meta shifting rumors, we have Broken Promise, Sir, Low, and Cham, and granting some of the most interesting attributes for melee, which would actually incentivize me or make me want to play melee. For those that have been following my channel for a while, you know that I don't like playing Barb. I just don't really like melee at all. Casters are just at such a better advantage because they have AoE, always have a chance to hit, and they just do more damage and clear everything faster, and that's all kind of essential if you want to farm items in PvM. But this rumored grants 10% chance to cast level 14 amplified damage on striking, 50% chance to cast level 25 corpse explosion when you kill an enemy. So this is going to help provide melee with the source of AoE. I think that's fantastic, especially if you're like a Frenzy Barb and you're just whacking away lots of strikes, you're proccing amp damage everywhere, and then you have a 50% chance to blow up corpses with everything amp cursed. It's going to finally give melee a chance to be on par with casters. So I think it's a fantastic idea and concept. I really like the Sir and Cham emphasis. So again, providing more value for those runes that aren't used very often. The Blessed Aim is nice. I mean, FHR, enhanced damage, negative 25% target defense, life total per hit, deadly strike, open wounds, maximum lightning res, 50 mana, 50% lightning res, and cannot be frozen with teleport charges. I think that the concept of this rumored is great. I mean, Blessed Aim is fantastic. I think that it's maybe, in my opinion, a hair bit overtuned. And again, this is probably going to sound funny coming from me because I typically really try and advocate for meta shifting changes and just, you know, bumping up damage of melee and trying to make them on par. But I just have a feeling that using this shield in combination with a powerful weapon and then Fortitude with like 300 ED, I mean, you get 600 ED between those two items, then like laying of hands, and just, it's a little bit overtuned in my opinion. So I would maybe remove 1 or 2 stats. I mean, I'm just thinking off the top of my head, but maybe like remove the Deadly Strike and maybe the enhanced damage. I'm not sure. Because the amplified damage, that's reducing monsters' DR by 100% and corpse explosion on top of that. Pairing that also with 300% enhanced damage and everything else, I just think it's a little bit too much, especially like with rumours like Fortitude. But I like the idea and concept here of adding like increased attack rating with the Blessed Aim aura, AoE, amplified damage, so you're not so reliant on using Reaper's Toll. But I think it is a little bit overtuned, so I'm slightly hesitant to give this the DB seal of approval. I think it's a fantastic idea and concept. I just think it's a little bit overtuned in my humble opinion. And finally, we have the rumored Knight's Vigil. Now, this is a very interesting rumored. It's extremely expensive, Sir, Ohm, Zod, Burn, Low, with a lot of very interesting stats, like Vigor Aura for movement speed, tons of enhanced damage, Fool's Mod, Crushing Blow, Deadly Strike, Hit Blinds Target, 1 to charge for mobility, I really like this, strength based on character level, Biz DR by 25%, that's pretty nutty when you pair that with String of Ears. That would get you 40% DR, so that's really valuable for melee character and cannot be frozen. Now in terms of sort of like the interesting trade-off of using this weapon is that Hit Blind's target would override curses like Reaper's Toll Decrep procs, so you have to sort of make a conscientious trade-off if you're going to use this rumored. But I do think that it would incentivize players to use something other than Grief, which I think is fantastic because melee is too focused on using that rumored. There's very few characters that Grief is not the best in-slot choice, so I definitely like the idea of this rumored. I think it's a little bit too costly though. Sir, Ohm, Zod, Burr, and Low is pretty nutty. I would probably remove the Burr and Low rune and throw a Cham rune and then something else just to incentivize a little bit more value into Sir and Cham, because currently those two runes don't really have much value in D2R. Other than that, I think it's a really interesting rumor. It's going to shift the meta. People won't be so obsessed with using Grief, and it does have trade-offs. So It really hits all the bells and whistles for flipping melee on its head, providing different choices, but also trade-offs at the same time. So I think it's a fantastic rune word, and again, it receives the DB seal of approval. So how do I wrap up this video? Well, I do want to mention that I'm almost certain that none of these rune words will make it into patch 2.6 for the reasons that I mentioned at the start of this video. But I do want to point out that I think every single one of these rune words does a good job of addressing some of the key itemization and rune word issues in D2R. For example, melee characters struggling on playthroughs, too much of an emphasis on value on bird, jaw, and low, not enough sources of cannot be frozen, different alternatives to meta like Grief or Reaper's Toll Mercenary for AoE sources or curse sources for melee characters. Just every single one of these rune words does a great job of doing that, just shifting the meta, which is something that I think the devs are a little bit too afraid to do, in my opinion. Even the rune words that were introduced in patch 2.4, besides Plague having some interesting uses and Flickering Flame, nothing really changed. I think that these rune words, or the concept behind these rune words, would actually change something. So I do think that is a really good idea. In terms of some aspects that I think this video just kind of missed entirely, is that the first being the existing rune words that are in the game. If we could just roll them in different bases, there's a lot of opportunity there as well. There is a ton of rune words that exist in D2R that people just don't use. Brand, Wrath, trying to think of other ones, Eternity. If you could just roll them in different bases, there's the potential to sort of like shift the meta. Like, I don't know, Infinity and Shields and Brand and Swords, Frac 5 Mercenaries. There's just a lot of potential there if some of the existing rune words in the game could be rolled in different bases. What's the point of having, you could have 100, 200, 500 rune words if they don't sort of shift the meta and people don't use them? I just don't really feel like there's a point of having them there. So definitely different bases would be a fantastic addition to some of the suggestions in this video. And I also think that there are a couple very rare unique items in the game that do deserve a bit of a buff, because they're just not, like, their value is not there for the rarity of the item. So D-Web, Griffins, for example, Death's Fathom are very extremely difficult to find unique items that are very powerful and sought after. Hero's Might, Mansong's Lesson, Astrian's Iron Ward are examples of very difficult to find unique items that are supreme garbage. I definitely would like to see some modifications to some of the existing rare uniques as well to sort of provide some alternatives outside of rune words. But besides that, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thank you, Coooley, for making this video and just offering me to react to it. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you agree, disagree, just let me know in the comment section below, and hopefully just create some interesting discussion for potential ideas in the future for D2R. Other than that, guys, hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you guys on my next video or live stream. Peace.